Hi there. I haven't recorded for a while. I've been fighting bronchitis for the last 2 weeks and it doesn't want to seem to let up. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about these crocheted hats that you can buy at some of the online stores. I bought these at the Gourd Festival up in Springfield, and I paid $1.59 a piece for them. They had 4 different sizes, but I only got a couple, and I don't know if you've ever seen these before or not, but when you get them, they're just flat as a board, because what they do is they use this fabric stiffener or something like it, and basically what it is a water-based glue. You could do the same thing with Elmer's glue and thin it out with water and you'll get the same effect. But when you get them, they're as hard as a rock. But if you want to soften them up and give yourself a softer look for your dolls, what you can do is wet them and then take something like knitting needle or something equivalent to it, or even some not Q-tips, but wooden toothpicks, and then just try and shape the hat the way you want it. Get it wet and let it dry, and then it will hold the shape that you want it to have. You can even, I've already loosened these all up, but once you can go in and actually break the glue binding on these so you get a softer look. Because, you know, as pretty as they are, there's a lot of crochet work here, and if you're only paying $1.59 for them, what the heck, you know, they look cute on your dolls. So then you can just put them on your dolls and they'll have a much softer look than if they're just flat as a pancake. So I could probably even go give her even more of a softer look with this hat. But don't be as scared to use. They're not going to break, because this is crochet thread. It's not going to. You're not going to break the hat if you try and bend it. So you can just keep working it until you get it the shape you want it. If you even want it more, you just keep working it until you get it the way you want it, because it looks much nicer. You get a much nicer display on your dolls instead of having something as hard as flat as this one. Same thing here. You can just shape it any way you want. And you can either use water. If it doesn't want to stay, then recoat it with Elmer's glue and water, or you can still get that stiffy at some of the craft stores. But not bad for $1.59. I went to Blue Whale Arts, and I didn't see them on their online catalogs. I don't know if they just haven't put them up yet, or they're going to be coming in the future, but they carry a lot of doll hats for their gourds, which is perfect for these dolls. So anyway, there's the one design. Okay, the next thing I did is I wanted to finish off these hats that I made with the straw hats. So what I did is I went and I bought I bought Buckram. Buckram is heavy-duty cotton fabric that is just really stiff. It's a very stiff fabric. It's what they make all the millinery hats out of. Buckram, it's B-U-C-K-R-A-M, but it's spelled Buckram. And then they also have pretty much something that's almost exactly the same, and this one is called crinoline, which they made those old-fashioned full skirts out of. So if you ask me, they're almost identical. The Buckram's a little bit finer than the crinoline, but I guess you can use them interchangeably. So it's whatever you can get. I got the crinoline at Walmart, and I bought the Buckram at Joann's. When I went online for the Buckram, they said it was $5.99 a yard, but then when I got there, it rang up as $7.99 a yard. But the nice thing about Buckram is you can, they have so many of those old designer hats that they used to give free in the old days, and you can do all kinds of great things with this buckram. This was just a circle that I had taken, and because what you do is you design the top of your hat, and then you just use your buckram to get your shape of what you want to make. And this was basically how they started all their hats in the old days. You know, I'm talking 30s to 50s, and they probably still use it today as far as I know. But what you do is you shape your buckram how you want your hat to be, and it basically gives you the start of whatever type of hat you want to make. So if you just want to make one of those like bucket hats, this is where you would start. And then once you have your buckram the right shape, you can either sew your buckram here and then cover it with your fabric, or I'll probably do more with this buckram later when I get more familiar with it. I've got a few patterns I've already taken offline to try to do some of those old-fashioned hats, but basically all that was a circle, and then you decide how thick you want to, you know, how wide you need it for the head, and whatever else you're using it for. But it's fun to play with. It's the first time I've actually used this stuff, so I'm new at this myself. But what I did is I took that buckram and I coated, let me see if you can see it from here. I coated the, I just cut a strip 1 inch wide, and I just kept wrapping it, and I glued it down. And then I just took some white thread, and I just whip stitched that hat to the buckram. So now I have a solid base for that, what do you call that kind of hat? The helmet hat, safari hat, or whatever you want to call it. But that was one way of making that firm. So you can, I think if you even try just the buckram, I don't know if you'll get it that firm without the base of the straw hat, but you know, you can come up with all kinds of ideas. It's you know, there's just so many things you can do with it. And then you can just use it both ways. You can use a multi-purpose hat, use it both ways. This is Pocahontas. I don't know if you recognize her. I changed her a little bit. She has these eyebrows that go up like she's really distressed out. So what I did is I took acetone and I wiped out that eyebrow that went up, and then I just filled it back in with darker brows. But that was for that hat. So same with Mulan. I used the same technique with the buckram and the, but this time I just used pink thread on that, because this way you can do it both ways. You can, you know, and then you can embellish it as much as you want, however you want that embellishment to be on that hat. So that was just buckram with the straw. This pattern is one of the ones from ABC Knitting. This was the, well, technically I did my own middle up here, and then I just followed the instructions on the half double crochet for the I think it was called, I wrote it down, what it was. This was the Summer Breeze hat, but I didn't do the last stitch because I wasn't that, you know, I wasn't that thrilled with it. But the pattern's a lot cuter than mine turned out, but I didn't follow the whole pattern. But she's got a lacy edge on her hat, and it looks much cuter than this one. But you do get a nice floppy, hat with that pattern, and it is cute. So it's nice and summery and breezy. So that was ABC Knitting for that one. So that was that hat. And then this hat, I tried the, no, that was the buttercup hat. The yellow, this one was the buttercup hat. That's a different hat. This one's the Summer Breeze hat. Let me see if I can bring her up here. She's still naked. I haven't got any clothes on her yet. This is the Wispy Walker doll. Let me see if I can go back on here a little bit. If you can see it better. Yeah, this is the Wispy Walker hat. I followed the instructions and it turned out really, really big. So, and this is with wire. What you do is you put wire in the back of the hat. The nice thing about using wire is you can shape the hat to be any design you want. For the Wispy Walker, I painted her some teeth and I messed up. I made them too white, so I added some darker white and I ended up messing up the paint, so now I got to take it all out and do it again. And then she had just these tiny little eyebrows, so I went in and I gave her some darker eyebrows. But the pattern for that hat is way too big. It is just huge. So, but she does use wire in her hats, and she said to use jewelry wire, 16 gauge jewelry wire. Let me move the camera back up. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Okay, I used the 16 gauge Walmart 98 cents piece on that one, and I did make a change. She said to go in on this last row. You're supposed to go in the front post of the double crochet. I went into the front post at the bottom instead of the actual post. I went in the stitch, and that might have caused a problem there too. But her instructions call for taking the end of the pattern and taking your wire and twisting it and then flattening it out. Let me see if I can do it on this one. She said take your wire, twist it, and then flatten it out, and then you're going to be able to crochet over it, something like that with a twist. I tried it so many times over and over and over again, and I kept breaking the wire, so I finally gave up. And what I ended up doing is I ended up getting my wire as long as I wanted it. Now I made a mistake on this hat too. So what I did is, because it was too big for this hat pattern was too big for the 18-inch dolls, I stopped. I don't know if you can see here in the, so she's got the center 1, 2, and then she starts her headpiece. Here I started the center. I only did one round, and then I started the hat. And this will fit the 18-inch dolls and the Disney dolls. I made a mistake on this one too. I didn't follow the instructions again, and instead of too much wire. Instead of doing the double crochet, doing this front post again, I went through the whole post thinking I could get a ridge going there, and I did get the ridge, but it's too much of a ridge, so I didn't want to take the whole thing out and start all over again, so I just kept it the way it is. But what I ended up doing is, because I kept breaking the wire, is I got as much wire as I thought I was going to need, and then I cut it off. Oh, let me just show you on the piece down here. I just cut it off. I'm all roped up here. So let's just say this is the end of my piece. I just took my wires and I just put them side by side like this. And then I took this really fine gauge. I think it's, I'm not sure, it says 28 on it, so it might be 28 gauge. So I just took some really thin wire, cut it, and then I wrapped the wire really well all the way around, and I got it as tight as I could together. I didn't use that much of an overlap. I only overlapped like about an inch or so, and then I just wrapped the wire, cut it off after that. And then I took 527 glue beacon, and I glued the wire to the other wire, and then I finished off and I crocheted right over this. And then I didn't have to worry about trying to twist the wire and then flatten it. I just did it like that, and it turned out just fine. I don't know if you can see it on the, I put a couple coats of the glue on it and just set it over a piece of paper towel and let it dry until it was nice and good and dry. But let me see if you can see where the connection point is. Yeah, see, here's the connection point. There's my little wire. And then with my tail of my, the tail of the thread, I went ahead and just wrapped in there and got as much of that wire covered as possible. So if you didn't really even know there was a double wire there, you wouldn't even notice it. And the really nice thing about these hats is you can just shape them any way you want. You can turn them into the cutest little designs. And I tried to buy wire that was close in color to whatever it was I was sewing, but you can, whatever thread I was using, but you can just use the plain silver. It doesn't show too much, but you can do all kinds of different shapes and designs on these with the wire. I mean, you can just, you can make that, who is it, the Morton Salt Kid? And the wire, you can just keep changing it to whatever you want it to be. I mean, there's just so many. You can cut the rim down and make it even, make it thinner. You can start your brim earlier. There's just so many things you can do. But this pattern is called the Summer Breeze, American Girl Summer Breeze hat with the wire in it. And it's very simple once you get it going and play with it. Okay, so that's that one with the Summer Breeze and the wire. And then I'll be back. Okay, I went to some estate sales and I found, actually I bought 3 skeins of this, I call it scarf yarn. These are both by Boutique Sachet Metallic by Red Heart, which are these 2 outfits, and then there's this Star Bella Flash, which is a wider, a thicker stitch. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to try it on the next one. I think if I put, this is ecru and white, and this is ecru and white, I think if I make the top with this on the bottom, I think I might get a really cute little outfit. But anyway, what got me started on this, thinking maybe I can use it on the doll clothes, was there's a pattern on the ABC Knitting called the Southern Belle Dress. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try that Southern Belle Dress. And first thing they tell you is to crochet 72 stitches. So I crocheted my 72 stitches. And I followed the pattern all the way down, and I ended up being short. It ended up being too small for the doll. So I think it's because the pattern called for size D, and I used C2, but I'm going to try it again and see if I can get it to work this time. But basically the top of the Southern Belle dress is, this would be the top of the Southern Belle dress, and then underneath would be the rest of it. There's a crochet pattern, and there's also a knit pattern. So I'm going to try again and see maybe if I can get it to figure it out. It's really a pretty dress. But that's what gave me the idea for these outfits. There's another pattern on there called the Chevron Summer Dress for the Welly Wishers. So I followed that pattern for the top. But not completely, because she does 8 stitches for the sleeves, the front and the back. I did 10, 10, 10, and 10 with the 1 for the raglan. And then I haven't finished this one at all. I'm just still working on it. But basically it was the top of her pattern, and then what I'm doing is just using the, this is Jasmine. She doesn't look like Jasmine because I've repainted her lips. I took acetone and I took off her little wing tips on her eyes here. to give her a younger look. And then she's got these tiny little eyebrows that are way over here, so I extended her brows. And I'm going to curl her hair and dip her in hot water to get the curl to stay under. But she's starting to look like a real cute little girl. But that's Jasmine. So I did the welly wisher top, and in this time I've done a double crochet between each of the row of the lacy yarn, and to get that look here. I haven't finished it yet. I don't know how many rows I'm going to make. I might just make one more. But as far as finishing off the lacy ends, I didn't make it wide enough so I could just slip it on, so I could crochet those, sew those together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I've got metallic yarn on my sewing machine. So what I did is I sewed on this one, I sewed two lines of stitching, cut it really close to the second line, turned it under, and then I sewed it again. So I've got 3 lines of stitching on the yarn, so it won't come undone. This yarn I sewed all 3 pieces together. I only did 3 pieces on this one, and I put tissue paper underneath, and I sewed 3 times, turned under twice. I turned under, and then I sewed it again to give it a finished look, so it won't fray out. Some of these I can probably even go, I can even cut down so they're closer, but that's how I did it. And then I just did two snaps on this pattern. I just used single crochet. I didn't do anything special on it. I just started with 7 single crochets, and then I increased down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 rows, and then I came out with a single chain, came back in, and then that's how I got that pattern. I made a little mess here, but nobody's going to see it anyway, so it's okay. But anyway, you can do the same thing on here and make it a single dress instead of a 2-piece if you want to. And let me show you what I mean by that. Right. And this was just a single crochet. I think I did I chained 3, and I just made a strap, put a couple buttons on it to match, and that was how I made that one. Let me take that off. But you can, instead of making this 2-piece, you can make it a single piece. And don't do it in 2 pieces, just do it in the single. And you can make yourself a cute little dress just like that in the single. It's hard to see, but yeah. But that's not bad. I mean, it's not hard to work on this. I thought it was going to be really hard to work with this lace yarn, but it's really not. So basically what you do is you just take your, let me see, you take your thread. Let me just say I have thread here. I don't have any thread. Alright, so what you do is you're crocheting normal. So what I did is I took my top that I wanted on the outside, so I opened up my lace and says, okay, I tried all kinds of things. I even tried to serge it, and that didn't do so well, but you could actually even serge it if you want, and then put your stitch in like that. If you get a matching thread, you can. But what you do is you just take each one of these, you just do a single crochet with each one of these things, because they're separated by 2 little wires. I don't know if you can see that or not. So you just add that to your double crochets, and then it sort of puckers everything together. And then once you do that, you just pull your lace out, and it takes it and it pulls it flat in the back, so it looks like you just have basic single crochets in the back. And this is what you'll get in the front, that. And it's cute. You know, you can do just row after row after row without even having a single crochet in the middle. This one I did a single crochet in the middle. If you don't want that lacy look in there, you can just skip the single crochet and just do row after row after row of the lace. This one I might have gone too far up, because this one I did a double crochet between each row. That might have been a little too much, but it's up to you however you want to do it. But yeah, they do make cute little outfits. I gotta say they really do. I'm thinking that when I finish these ones off, I'm going to finish them off row at a time instead of trying to do them all together like I did on the skirt. I think they'll fluff up better in the back if I just finish them off one row at a time with that single line of sewing. But we'll see how it turns out. But that's the dress with the lace on it. But they turn out kind of cute. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.